Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you watched my previous videos on my Mars Attack character. I know it's been a little bit of a time between the last video and this video, but anybody who's been through 2020 this year will understand that life threw some pretty hard curveballs and everybody's kind of adjusting. But I'm back for today. I wanted to do a short video showing my process of opposing my character. And as you can see on the video right now, I'm using the transpose tool to actually get the gun that I had started on the other video in place, in position. The gun is a little bit scaled from the reference on the corner on the bottom left, if you can see. I didn't want to 3D print this later on and then find out that the objects were too small. So as you can see, it's slightly exaggerated, but not so much to where it kind of takes away from its actual scale of it. Because I do like the reference that it's kind of like a tiny little ray gun, but so deadly at the same time. I'm currently using the transpose all selected tools. And if you haven't had a chance to use this, it's a little different than using the other method as far as using the transpose and masking it off and then adjusting the character to pose it. This method works really good. It's kind of like when you hold Control Shift, drag, reveal, you can actually Control Shift, drag to select objects that you want to move. So right now I'm going to adjust the helmet on this character. The brain was sticking up slightly through it, I guess after modeling and readjusting and pushing and pulling. Some things got moved, and that's okay because we can fix that. The thing is, I wanted to get the character locked down, and how to explain it, I didn't want to have any difficulty trying to pose him afterwards and trying to correct him. So as you can see here, I'm using the transform deformation tools. The glass kind of tapers from the references, if you can see. And I'm going to go ahead and push that back the way the tapering was a little bit more. These are fun tools. These are tools that were kind of included in the later versions of ZBrush. When I first started learning ZBrush, these tools weren't available. And now that you got them, you're like, man, I wish I had these starting out in ZBrush. It's pretty cool. So going along here, adjusting the loops and pushing and pulling, because I'm using the dynamic subdivision, and putting the edge loop near the edge will kind of make the corners a little sharper. So the idea for this, I guess the base of the character, I wanted to have like destruction. I wanted concrete. I wanted like little rubble on the floor, like a beam from a building. I didn't put any like greenery because I felt like the alien probably burned it all up or destroyed it. So I put a little bit of stuff later on, as you can see. For right now, I'm just trying to pose him with the visual in my mind of what I want around him. Because I build up the base pretty much in the next video. I believe the next video. But it'll show more or less like him standing on a rock, standing in some rubble with this gun kind of posed. So right now I'm using the older method of adjusting the transform. You can toggle that on with the Gizmo 3D. It's a little sphere option next to your move, scale, and rotate. And you can toggle that on and off. I've always found this method a little bit more comfortable. There was a trick where if you did the rotate and hold, I believe it's Alt at the last little circle, the white circle, it kind of deforms a little easier. There was a ZBrush video that kind of showed this, and it kind of worked. And after a while, I was just like, why wasn't I doing this sooner? But you learn as you go. It's part of it. It's fun, and no biggie. As long as you're moving forward. And right here, I'm just trying to get the arm from showing through to the other side, because this is kind of a odd character, and I think I'm scaling him. Looks like slightly, but I think I'll fix it. So getting that in position, and I'll do the other hand a little. Oh, want to rotate. So this is more of a play-by-play. This is sped up. I sped it up almost 300% or whatever the speed in Premiere. I just want to kind of go over the quick. This isn't really like, to me, it's not as interesting as sculpting, but at the same time, it's a necessary process. This is more rinse and repeat kind of method. You pose a character, trying to get the look, move it, pose it again. And it's kind of like sculpting too in a way, but then again, this is a little more defined by just kind of moving stuff around. So I sped it up. You can get kind of the idea overall looking, because there's not really anything technical. I guess that's what I'm kind of getting at. It's not too technical. It's just kind of moving stuff and pushing and pulling. Sculpting can get a little more in depth with techniques and stuff like that. This is more, is it in the right place? Is it posed? Can I rotate this from this point? Masking it off and going from there. And that's what I'm pretty much doing. There's no need to watch this in real time. But I think there is a feature now on YouTube where you can slow it down. If you really wanted to watch it back to close to the time it was doing, you can probably turn that on. Right now I'm just trying to put his foot to where he's like stepping on something. I'm more or less visualizing. I didn't have the base set up, so it's more of a going from what's in my head, what I want to see him posed as. And a little near the end, I start using that the little silhouette tool in the top left corner. Start looking at that a little bit more to kind of get a visual of what I'm looking at. Comes in handy. Later on, I kind of learned that you can scale that up a little bit bigger to where you can actually see it a little more clear. It's okay. So just trying to get the hands and everything else posed. And you can see I kind of went back to the older method of using that older method of posing. I felt like using more, how do you explain it? If you're doing more mechanical stuff, the other method is good. But if you're doing more organic, this method works a lot more for me. I think I jump back and forth between using the Gizmo 3D and then the transform tool. Sometimes you get, just use a tool that suits you. If it works one way, use that way. If they use it, they're all just tools. Trying to get the fingers placed in the little gun. That's probably another reason. That was another thing too. Trying to get these fingers fitting the gun, and I wanted it to kind of be accurate and scale. So, right here, I'm kind of fighting the masking. Just need the little fingers wrapped around that gun. So I'm using the Alt rotate on the end so it deforms really good. It's a good trick that I saw on that one of the ZBrush videos. Been using it ever since. So I kind of get it in place. Little pinky's out right there, slightly, because he's gripping it kind of odd. But it's okay. He's an alien, maybe he does things a little different. So I kind of have him leaning onto the rock, but Kind of pose the whole thing. Give a little put a little weight on the left leg. Kind of bending him over a little bit slightly to where he's putting some weight on there. This was a fun model. It was a fun project to do, because it's just so out there. He's an alien, but then he's got some like primitive shapes and primitive objects that are along with it. I do believe, I think I messed one of the part. I think later on the ray gun gets kind of messed up, but since I already had the object in the model, I just copy it and flip it, and it worked out okay. That happens sometimes. You'll accidentally grab a model and you're just like, what? How did that get squished, or how did that get deformed and rotated? It happens. You know, as careful as you try to be, you know, just sometimes you don't mask that one little corner, that one little piece of a model, and you end up deforming it. You can see here what's happening too. It's getting deformed a little bit, but using some mask and stuff like that. I don't want to move it too much. I just want to nudge it is what I'm doing. That gun right there. See that? That's what happens. And gotta fix that. Nope. See? Now it's fighting it. There it goes. It worked. So I masked it somehow. Just wanted the hand. I probably could have used a different technique, but you know, when you get in the flow of things and you're just trying to, like, sometimes you're just trying to get it in just right. So you can see he's kind of getting a little position, and I think once I get the other objects in, you'll see exactly where I was going towards getting them in place and posing him. The references, I kept them up the whole time, pretty much on the bottom corner, just kind of glancing, give it a little reference of where I'm trying to go. And if you look at the bottom left on the top left one, it's kind of where I was aiming at, just kind of the same pose, but not too exact. Oh, yeah. So what happened there, I was using yeah, the transpose script. I did go the the way I used to always do it. For some reason I thought I did the Gizmo most of it, but I didn't. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Just go with what works. And so right here, pretty much got most of the model set in place. There's not really much to this video after this. He's kind of setting where I need him to be. I pose him a little bit more probably as I go along to give it a little more definition, but right now it's where it's gonna be. Yeah, like I said, it's a short video. I just wanted to jump in and try to get something out there, and for anybody who was following these videos, I didn't want to just kind of leave you hanging where you're like, well, where's the rest of it, you know? And I have a rendering up on my ArtStation. I could probably post the link to, so I can show what it looks like finished and everything else. So, but yeah, I hope you learned something from this video. I hope it was, you know, slightly informative. Nothing crazy. A lot of it was posing and pushing and pulling and trying to get the object in place. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and hope you learned something. Yeah, I'll try to put out the next video very soon. I hope it's not too long.